Alright, so the Santa Claus 3 The Escape Clause from 2006 is directed by Michael Lembeck, written by Ed Decter and John J. Strauss, characters by Leo Benvenuti and Steve Rudnick. And before I get into the cast here, I just wanted to say there's a lot of background noise right now. Where my house is, like basically right next to us, is not really a highway, but it's the country version of a highway. So there's cars going all along that road all day long, and it's loud as hell. And then my neighbor was just weed whacking a little bit ago. Then there's somebody doing construction or something like a few houses down. I don't even know what they're doing, but it's loud as hell right now. Usually I try not to record during the day because of that, but this is the only time I had to record this review, so we're going with it. But the cast for this movie is Tim Allen, of course, coming back as Santa / Scott Calvin. We have Elizabeth Mitchell coming back from the last film as Mrs. Claus / Carol Calvin. We have Eric Lloyd coming back from the first and second film, the son to Scott Calvin, Charlie. Spencer Breslin coming back from the last film as Curtis. Who was it? David Krumholtz as Bernard. He does not return in this film. However, he will return in the Santa Clauses. Who else do we have in here? Liliana Mummy returns as Lucy Miller from the last film. Let me see here. We got Anne Margaret as Sylvia Newman and Alan Arkin as Bud Newman, the parents to Carol Calvin. Who else do we have here? Abigail Breslin comes in for a little bit as Trish, which is the sister to Spencer Breslin, also in this movie. We got Art LaFleur as Tooth Fairy coming back from the last movie. Aisha Tyler as Mother Nature coming back from the last movie. Kevin Pollak coming back as Cupid from the last movie. Jay Thomas coming back as Easter Bunny from the last movie. Michael Dorn coming back as Sandman from the last movie. Peter Boyle coming back as Father Time from the last movie. And then introducing to the cast in this film as the villain of the film is Martin Short as Jack Frost. So yeah, in the last film they introduced all these other, holiday icons, and I guess Sandman isn't really a holiday icon, but you know what I mean there. All these different icons from different holidays and different lore and whatnot. They introduced them all in the last one. The one they didn't introduce was Jack Frost. And obviously he was brought into this movie, brilliantly played by Martin Short. I don't know if that character would have worked as well if Martin Short hadn't played him. I think this movie definitely isn't the best out of all three. In fact, I'd say the order of how good they are goes in order of the actual film. So the first one's the best, second one isn't great, third one not so good. But I do like a lot about the second one. In fact, there's elements of it that I like more than the first. But the first is such a classic, you just can't top it. But yeah, the whole Toy Santa aspect of the last film, I just really didn't care for. And this movie in particular, I just didn't fully love the whole Jack Frost thing in this movie. I don't know. This one just isn't quite a winner for me, for not many reasons I can quite explain, other than just the whole Jack Frost thing in there. While he's played well by Martin Short and he's a fun character, I don't know. It doesn't really feel necessary for these types of movies to have a villain in it. And that's why I didn't like the Toy Santa aspect of the last movie. And that's kind of why I don't like Jack Frost in this movie. Why can't we just have Tim Allen be Santa Claus? But that's also kind of a theme in these movies, is that in the first one you only get maybe like, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes of Tim Allen actually being Santa Claus. In the second one, you get maybe like 20 to 25 minutes of him being Santa Claus. And this one, you get like 30, 40 to 45 minutes of him being Santa Claus. So it's kind of a theme that in these movies, it just keeps wanting to take him away from being Santa Claus. It's like the universe doesn't want him to be Santa Claus. So that's kind of a nice theme that they carried through all of the movies pretty much. Whether it was done on purpose, I don't know, but wow. Loud UPS truck passing by. Gotta love it. Not enough noise, apparently. But yeah, there's so many different things going on in this movie. Basically, you have Scott Calvin saying he wishes he'd never been Santa, and basically they go back in time like 12 years to the night where Santa fell off the roof and Scott put on the coat, and instead Jack Frost put the coat on, and then he became Santa, and then it jumps forward in time, and then he's Santa, and things are crazy, and the North Pole is like a whole amusement park. It's crazy for sure. These movies definitely get crazier and crazier as they go along. Um, and again, like they don't quite get better as they go along either. The second one, like most of that movie I do like, but with this one it takes it to a point where I'm like, yeah, I don't really want to rewatch this one every Christmas. Like the only reason I'm rewatching this one is because I'm rewatching all of them in preparation for the Santa Clauses, which I don't even know how much of this is really going to be. I mean, I imagine all the movies will be quote unquote canon in the show, but like I don't know how much of that is actually going to be addressed. I'm guessing we're probably not going to see Martin Short as Jack Frost, or technically by the end of the movie, kind of changes just a little bit. But yeah, let me see here. Carol's pregnant in this movie, so Scott is going to have a kid, and that kind of sets up things for the Santa Clauses, which I'm sure wasn't in the plans. I'm sure a show on Disney Plus wasn't the plan, because Disney Plus probably wasn't even thought of by this point. But I'm sure there were plans to try and carry on the franchise. But after this one, I'm sure people were just like, do we really need it? And also, Tim Allen had played in this role for so many years, like 12 years, right? It would be 12 years. So he's been in the role for a while. I'm sure he would want to break from it to do other things. Also, there's Toy Story that he did in between this. So lots of Disney stuff. But yeah, overall, I mean, it doesn't have the worst plot of basically having Santa not be Santa anymore, and then having this other guy become Santa, and then him having to try to stop this guy and, you know, make everything right again. It was nice. But also, the thing about it is, like, the reason why he didn't want to be Santa, the reason why he said it, was because there were so many things going on. There were so many issues, not only with the workshop, which Jack Frost had a hand in making crazy, but also with his family. And just because he reversed the whole thing with Jack Frost doesn't mean that there weren't still those issues with this family. So he comes back and he's like all happy and stuff and everything's perfect. I'm like, does it really seem like it was resolved though? Not really. They didn't really talk it out. But I mean, it's a Disney movie. It's made for kids. It's not made for adults by any means. But here I am as an adult reviewing it for you on YouTube. So overall, I would give this movie, I forget what I gave the other ones. The first one I'd probably give like a 9 out of 10. I don't know if that's what I scored it when I actually reviewed it. The second one I'd give like an 8 to an 8.5. This one I'd probably give like maybe a 5.5 to a 6. Yeah, I mean, it's not my favorite. I would much rather watch the first two. Like if I were going to rewatch them for Christmas time, I'd probably just stick to watching the first one in terms of like how much time I have to do it, especially with watching new things all the time. But the second one, if I had time, I would watch that one too, because I do quite like that. But this one is the one I feel like I could skip out on. And hopefully I don't feel that way about the Santa Clauses, but I have a feeling I might like that show. But yeah, that will be my review for tomorrow. I'll be reviewing the first 2 episodes of the Santa Clauses, at least if you're watching this video the day it's posted. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Leave a like on the video, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload, and I will see you in the next one.